Going back to gym class.
Going back to gym class. Yeah.
Cue the,
I know.
cue the
right?
music.
Ah! We met in grade 9 Geek Gym, a collection of enriched students gently placed in our own corner of the physical education world, supposedly for our own protection. And while we didn't always love gym class at the time, looking at you, rope climb, we've both come to realize maybe it mattered more than we thought.
In this episode of Unfinished Minds, we revisit the lessons of PE from the sidelines and sweat-soaked t-shirts. With the benefit of hindsight and humility, we talk about why fairness in sports sparks deep philosophical questions, what PE teaches us about autonomy, play, and perseverance, how movement and challenge shape identity, even for the nerdy kids, and what all this has to do with parenting, leadership, and learning at any age. Gym class. I can't believe we're talking about gym class.
I put this in the roster very deliberately. You know, when you're a philosopher,
I feel like you snuck it in.
Yeah, well, when you're a philosopher, you got to look at the difficult stuff. That's part of your job, and I'm peeling off a Band-Aid here.
Okay.
Opening up an old wound.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope this isn't the last episode that we ever do where we talk about subjects that kind of get dismissed, subject areas that kind of get dismissed, that you kind of go, oh, I'm glad that's over with. I'm never going to think about that again. I'm a big believer that even the rough stuff teaches us important things. So we're going back to gym class. So we met in grade 9 gym, and we're a co-ed gym class, which was kind of unusual at the time, formed from all the students who excelled in other subjects but couldn't catch a ball or run fast or that sort of thing, who were just going to get squashed in a regular gym class. And it was kind of a nice environment. I enjoyed it as much as I could have. And we probably wouldn't have fared as well without the company of our peers. Yeah, maybe that's painting with too broad a brush, but I think it was kind of a relief for everyone in that class.
I'm quite curious about the intentionality behind this gym class. I don't know that it was architected or designed to be something interesting and different for a group of enriched kids, or if it was by necessity, oh my goodness, we have a group of enriched kids.
Our teacher was not a typical enrichment teacher. He
looked scared as heck.
He looked very scared of us, and we spent the first couple weeks, I think, doing team building exercises where we built towers out of masking tape and drinking straws, and who could make the best paper airplane.
Yeah. So to set some ground rules here, are we allowed to call ourselves nerds and geeks and all of that, or is that perhaps inappropriate?
Well, if we're going to be honest.
Yeah.
That's what we were. That's what we are. And I can speak. I'm a geek from an athletic family. I dreaded every athletic activity my entire scholastic career. Typical geek. You can't get much more stereotypical than that. Track and field day was torture for me. Yes. I just wanted to get it over with and go have freezies on the sideline. And,
okay, here comes the trauma. It's coming. You're bringing
trauma
it back
dump.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, grade 7. For some reason, I thought I could do the 400 meter.
Been there.
Why?
Yeah. In my rubber boots and a raincoat.
Okay, you talk. Bad. You be smart for a while. I'm just going to sit here and silently sob.
So I wanted to put this in here as the first subject area that kind of gets brushed off to the side by many geeks like us,
right.
As an important learning experience. Mm-hmm. And I want to dig and find out what about it was good, even if we kind of cringe a little bit years later when we think about our experience in gym class, there are aspects of it that did us good and continues to do us good.
Right.
So
I'm willing to believe that. I'm excited about this conversation.
So I'm going to lob this one over the net, and then you can lob one back, and you can comment on it. I teach philosophy to kids, and I found that in rethinking my own experience with PE class and with sports in general and the like, I've gained a better grasp of fairness and the questions surrounding fairness, and have understood how to explain it to children in more rich and diverse ways because I can use sports and the like as a metaphor. We can ask questions like, are rules of sports fair? And we're seeing this right now. And every time there's an Olympics, we hear all kinds of, well, this person was robbed of their medal because of this, and this person got kicked out because of that, and you're only allowed to do this. That's all about fairness. The questions surrounding whether or not we have co-ed professional sports, or who is allowed to play, who's included, who's excluded, who's got advantages, all these people who do, fantasy leagues, all that revolves around fairness. And I don't think I would have had the same perspectives on fairness, especially when I talk about it with children in philosophical discussion, that I would have if I hadn't taken another look back at PE class. So it was kind of a sandbox, as if you will, for my understanding of fairness, for inclusiveness. If you're not a kid who thrives in gym class, you really, really, really feel all of this stuff.
I really appreciate that you bring up the language that provides you to ask these questions of young kids for a catalyst for conversation. Because we can all picture, for better or for worse, gym class when we were young. Is it fair that the big kids have an advantage? Is it fair that you have an advantage if you were born in that part of the year, which has you, up to 364 days older than the kid sitting beside you?
Yep.
And therefore that gets you more time. If you become a budding athlete, gets you more time with the coach, gets you more playing time.
Is it fair that underprivileged kids who've never had a chance to try a sport are going to be graded on it?
Yeah. And we're not here to answer those questions, but I appreciate that the questions themselves are the thing that you're taking away from that experience.
Absolutely.
Did I get that right?
Absolutely. Yeah. It gave me the vocabulary, the lens through which to look at these things. And you don't have to be an athlete in order to ask these questions, to see the value in putting your kid in a sport, if for no other reason than they learn to ask these questions, to think about these things.
And since the ping pong ball is coming my way, maybe I'll lob it back to you with teamwork. A lot of kids get put into sports or show an affinity or a deep interest. I wasn't one of those kids. Believe it or not, I'm still not one of those people as an adult. And being part of a team, feeling that joy of winning or losing, the commiseration, the being there for each other, I didn't really experience that anywhere else in my life until the middle of my high school career, where I found music and became involved in group activities there. So I really appreciate that. That's such a critical piece, that even for the shy, the introverted, the non-athletic kids, you get that flavor, you get that taste. And as an adult and as a professional, realizing that analogy is used all the time, and not just because most kids do grow up having some sort of formal sports experience, being part of a team, but also because it's just language that allows us to understand and participate in the world.
I think you can take it even one step further, and I agree with you. Take it one step further and say that you learn about different types of people that make up a team as well. I think there's different aspects of our personality that come out more when we're in competition, or when we're really trying hard to do something and it's not going well, or when we do win, when we do have success that we don't get to see. And I think if you are in a situation where you are put in groups and put on a team and expected to function together and to problem solve together, you get to kind of see how the human brain works and the human heart works. You get to watch other people struggle too. It's not just you trying to sort of think your way through something or problem solve your way through something. You get to see, oh, okay, there's the team member who does that, and there's the team member who does this.
It's interesting because this brings to mind for me another topic we did in a podcast recently about grades and marks, and brings up for me the difference between winning and losing versus being part of a team. And I think that so much of that experience, regardless of the level of competition, is really critical. And as we move through life and we become professionals, it's not just about your team winning or your company winning or succeeding. It's also about, these are the people that rely on me. These are the people that I rely on. This is my community. These are my friends. These are the people that are there for me, that I'm there for. And we have that in our personal lives, we have that in our professional lives. And just from a professional point of view, because you don't always get to pick them, you don't always get to pick the rules, you don't
Yeah.
always get to, choose who you're up against. To me, that conjures that same feeling of being that kid in gym class.
Mm. I think that's really interesting. And I think, you talk about winning. I think being on a team, you get a really interesting, sometimes a little bit disturbing sense of what it means to win for other people and for yourself. Because I think within a team, there's going to be different definitions of success. And you'll see this if you put a team of little kids together in gym class. One of them, it's like, no, we need to win the game. We're only successful if we win the game. And if you miss that shot, I'm coming after you. And then there are other kids who are like, I got to kick the ball. Like, I'm Superman or I'm Superwoman today because I ran without getting winded, that sort of thing. So winning means so many different things to different people. And I don't think you get that sense unless you're on a team where you're not only trying to work together towards a goal, but you're also trying to figure out, what does it mean for us to be successful as a team? How are we going to know if we did it right? And there's going to be, if you have 5 kids on a team, you're going to have 5 different notions of what it means to win. What about learning autonomy through gym class? Not just in any particular subject, but the idea of taking ownership of learning, of progress and growth. And I found gym really, really hard. It wasn't just that I wasn't athletic and maybe I was a little shy and it wasn't my favorite subject. There were things in gym class, I don't think I was ever able to climb that stupid rope. And I was never a fast runner. And there were all kinds of things that were just genuinely hard for me, but I had to do them, right? I had to try and get better. I had to try and feel stronger. And it was up to me. There was no one who was going to do it for me. Even if you're on a really good team and you all have a similar definition of winning, someone can't drag you across the finish line all the time. When I did succeed, when I did improve, there was a real sense of ownership of that. Like, that was me. I did that. I worked my butt off and I didn't give up. And here I am. I ran a little bit faster this time, or I did 2 chin-ups instead of 1, that kind of thing. So I think there was a sense of growth and autonomy and being able to say, that was mine. That was my victory.
So I'm just curious, you and I, card-carrying geeks, bad at gym, non-athletic, is everything we're saying about gym class the same thing that someone who struggled with math would say about math class? Is it just our own bias? Is there something intrinsically true about gym class?
I think it is true for other subjects too. There are going to be people who forever struggle with literacy. It's just hard for them. And as I said, this applies to all subjects. I think it's really important to tell a kid from a very early age, some stuff's going to be hard for you and you can do hard things. And it doesn't mean you don't make accommodations and you don't step in as an educator and a parent and that sort of thing and clear some obstacles wherever you can. But I think it's okay to say to a kid, this isn't going to necessarily be easy. And you may be starting from a different point than other learners, and soak it up when you do get across that finish line, when you know it was hard and maybe that wasn't your thing and maybe you did have specific challenges that were going to make it even harder for you. That sense of, it was hard for me and I did it anyway, in whatever capacity I could, in whatever way, shape, or form I was able to.
All right, well, let's flip that around and talk about the opposite of hard stuff and the crucible that is gym class. And instead, let's talk about play. I think somewhere along the way, it was decided that learning has to be serious, that fun is a luxury and not a necessary piece. And let's face it, like, gym class has room for fun. That's a big part of it. And I think all subject areas should. Everybody has this right to have fun as they're learning, as they're moving through life, as they're moving through work. And that may be absolutely seeing the world as a panacea, that everything can be fun. But good things happen when you play. Growth happens. You get through the hard things. You form your community and your team when you play together. How do we bring more of that to other subject areas and then,
Yeah.
throughout life.
Yeah. So I think there's something to be said for learning something by repeating it and sort of hammering it into your head and then learning it by playing. But I'm trying to think of the difference between the number of times you have to do something in a serious way in order for it to stick and to stay and to be applied and to be helpful, and the number of times you have to do it through play. And I'd be willing to wager that it's far less through play. And maybe that's why kids learn stuff so much faster, because it's all play. There isn't, I'm going to sit down and, slam this into my head until it sticks. It's, oh, this is fun. Let's go. So I think there's something to be said for play in that respect too. And you look at grown-ups who are kind of like in their older years, I'm going to take up cycling. I'm going to get myself a really fun bicycle and go for a ride. And people who take up pickleball, and there's play in that. It's fun. There's a reason why we go back to that, even if it is as big people. So I'm going to go back to the darker side of it too. And we've talked about this a little bit. The idea that you have to admit that you can do hard things, especially in subject areas that aren't necessarily prominent for the geeky inclined. And it's not bad to have something that challenges you. And you brought up earlier, what if someone has similar feelings about English class or math class, that it's going to take a lot for me to get through this. The grit and perseverance part applies across the board. And for me as a geek, as a nerdy little kid who was clumsy and uncoordinated, I can ruefully admit that it was really good for me to have to stick with it, to have to get through it and make the best of it. And sometimes making the best of it applies to literacy, numeracy, other subject areas. It's okay to have a little bit of humility too, to admit this isn't my favorite subject. It's not what I'm really good at. I'm going to do it anyway. And I don't have to be ashamed or embarrassed. I know where I am. I know what I'm capable of. And I'm just going to get through it. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do my best.
I know that everybody's got different strengths and skills. And just because you and I weren't great athletes, we may be kind of picking on gym class as the thing that was hard for us. And that's true for everybody in some way. And even though I know I was in Geek Gym, I think back with a little bit of weird pride that I actually had one of the highest marks in that class.
Rub it in.
I didn't know I had it in me. And I think part of that was because we were amongst our peers. And by that, I mean other non-athletes for the most part. A little bit of
an echo chamber, maybe.
Yeah, a little bit. And certainly one of my best friends who is quite athletic got a lower mark than me. And he still is mad about that to this day. I'm proud of the fact that I demonstrated the potential to challenge myself, in a space there where there wasn't too much judgment from others. And I really celebrate that accomplishment, just as I would in any subject area.
It was you.
Yeah.
It was you facing the other team in dodgeball.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a good metaphor to wrap up with is the dodgeball stuff. You're there and you're going to get hit a few times and you're going to have to run and duck and try and avoid and try and catch things and learn to throw things back. But it was good, and I think it was actually a little bit of fun too. Yeah. So thank you to our grade 9 gym teacher. Thank you for creating that learning experience for us all. Well, we met in that class, so
we did.
There you go. There's another benefit of gym class.
Absolutely.
Your life partner could be there waiting for you.
You never know.
I'm going to go out the door today and run errands and go about my daily routine, knowing that I am tougher than I thought I was, that I'm capable of stuff that I didn't think I would be. And that lesson alone has sort of sustained me through some pretty weird years recently. I can handle what the world throws at me. If I can climb the rope even a little bit in gym class, I can deal with this.
I love that. And for myself, I'm going to just relish the knowledge that there's a team, that there's people on your side, and you got this.
All right. Go hit the showers.
Just keep that rope away from me.
Yeah.
Thanks for learning with us.
If today's conversation sparked something for you, share it with someone you care about. or someone you're still figuring things out with.
You can find us online or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
And don't forget,
we are all unfinished minds. Let's keep learning.